They say blood is thicker than water, but nobody tells you how easily it can be poisoned. Standing in the center of the frantic newsroom, watching the security guards escort my own sister out of the building while the entire board of directors applauded me, I finally understood the terrifying truth about family. I wasn't just watching my sister lose her job, I was watching the architect of my destruction inadvertently build my empire. If you think you know the limits of jealousy, trust me, you haven't met my sister Lena. And you certainly haven't seen a karmic backlash quite like this. I had always believed that success was a ladder you climbed one rung at a time with hard work and integrity as your hands and feet. My name is Sarah, and for 5 years, I had poured my soul into Vertex Media, a top-tier advertising firm in the city. I was the first one in the office, the last one to leave, and the one who fixed the coffee machine when it jammed. My dedication was finally paying off. I had been shortlisted for the creative director position or role that would change my life, my finances, and my future. But while I was looking up at the summit, I didn't realize someone was sawing through the rungs beneath me. That someone was Lena. Lena was my younger sister, only by 2 years, but the emotional distance between us felt like decades. We worked at the same firm, a mistake. I see that now. I had gotten her the job as a junior copywriter when she was struggling to pay rent. I thought I was being a good big sister. I thought we were a team, but Lena didn't see a savior. She saw a benchmark she couldn't beat. While I prepped for the biggest pitch of my career, a multi-million-dollar campaign for a tech giant called Nebula, Lena was always hovering. She'd bring me coffee during late-night brainstorming sessions, her eyes scanning my notes a little too intently, her questions a little too specific. "Are you sure that tagline isn't too risky, Sarah?" she'd ask, her voice dripping with faux concern. "Maybe you should play it safe. You know how the board hates surprises." The week of the presentation was a blur of adrenaline and caffeine. I had developed a revolutionary concept for Nebula, something raw and unfiltered that stepped away from the corporate gloss they were used to. It was risky, yes, but it was brilliant. I kept the files on an encrypted drive, paranoid about corporate espionage, never suspecting the spy was sharing my Uber rides home. 2 days before the pitch, I came down with a violent, inexplicable flu. I was bedridden, feverish, and barely able to see my laptop screen. Lena, the doting sister, offered to help organize my final slides. "Just rest, Sarah," she soothed, placing a cool cloth on my forehead. "I'll make sure the formatting is perfect. You can trust me." And I did. I gave her my password. I gave her the keys to my kingdom because who suspects their own flesh and blood of regicide? When I walked into the boardroom that Friday, shaky but determined, I felt a shift in the atmosphere. The CEO, Mr. Henderson, looked grim. The representatives from Nebula looked bored, bordering on annoyed. I plugged in my laptop, took a deep breath, and launched the presentation. But the screen didn't show my bold emotional campaign about human connection. It showed mediocrity. My vibrant designs had been replaced with stock photos. My sharp, witty copy was watered down to generic corporate buzzwords. It was the safe version Lena had suggested, but executed poorly, full of typos and jagged transitions. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced my chest. I looked at the file properties on the screen. The last modified timestamp was 3 a.m. the previous night. I looked at Lena, sitting in the back corner taking notes. She didn't look shocked. She looked smug. She had sabotaged the file, banking on my illness to keep me from checking it before the meeting. I was bombing, and I could see my career evaporating in real time. The silence in the room was deafening. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat, a sound like a gavel striking a death sentence. "Sarah," he said, his voice low, "this is unexpected. It lacks the vision we've come to expect from you. Frankly, it's amateur." I froze. My instinct was to scream, to point a finger at Lena, to explain the swap. But I knew how that would look, a desperate woman blaming a junior employee for her own failure. It would look weak. I looked at Lena again. She offered a tiny, sympathetic shrug to the room, playing the part of the embarrassed sister perfectly. She had won. She had humiliated me to clear the path for her own ascent. But then, something snapped inside me. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. I realized I had nothing left to lose. "Mr. Henderson, gentlemen," I said, my voice trembling initially before finding a steel core I didn't know I possessed. "You are absolutely right. This presentation is amateur, it is safe, and it is exactly what your competitors are doing." I closed the laptop with a snap. That is why I'm not going to pitch it. That file was a stress-tested demonstration of the mediocrity that kills brands. It was a lie, a massive, dangerous improvisation. The real campaign isn't on a slide. It's in the room. I spent the next 20 minutes freestyle pitching my original idea. Without notes, without visuals, just me, my voice, and the raw emotion of a woman fighting for her life. I painted the picture with words, describing the visuals I had designed, the music I had chosen, the feelings I wanted to evoke. I used the betrayal I was feeling to fuel the narrative of the campaign, a story about breaking through noise, about authenticity in a fake world. The passion was palpable. The Nebula executives leaned in. Mr. Henderson stopped checking his watch. When I finished, breathless and sweating, the room was silent again. But this time, it was the silence of all. The lead executive from Nebula stood up. "I haven't heard a pitch that honest in 10 years, he said. "If you can build what you just described, we're in." The room erupted. In the chaos of handshakes and congratulations, I saw Lena's face fall. Her complexion went from smug to pale, then to a sickly gray. But karma wasn't done yet. As we were wrapping up, the IT director walked in, looking grave. He whispered something to Mr. Henderson and pointed at the screen, which was still projecting the safe presentations metadata. "It seems," Mr. Henderson announced, his voice turning icy, "that we have a security protocol breach." He turned the screen toward the room. The IT director had pulled the edit logs. There, clear as day, was the login ID used to butcher my presentation at 3 a.m. It wasn't my ID. It was Lena's. And because she had done it from the office network to ensure the upload speed, the internal camera system had time-stamped footage of her at my desk. The unraveling was swift. Lena tried to stammer an excuse, claiming she was trying to fix it, but the logs showed deletions, not corrections. The file history proved she had actively erased the high-quality assets and replaced them with garbage. The betrayal was absolute, and it was public. Mr. Henderson didn't just fire her, he threatened legal action for corporate sabotage. As security escorted her out, she looked back at me, tears streaming down her face, not of remorse, but of shock that her perfect plan had imploded. I got the promotion. I got the Nebula account. But more importantly, I got the freedom of knowing exactly who was in my corner and who wasn't. 2 years later, Vertex Media is thriving under my creative direction. And Lena? I heard she's struggling to find work in the industry. Word travels fast when you burn bridges with dynamite. Last week, I received a notification on LinkedIn. Lena viewed my profile. I didn't view hers back. I didn't need to. The view from the top is clear enough.